Okay. Hi guys, Rose here, and here's Leelahel. So we met today, and we are talking about tarot, and we've been talking about different decks and the different decks that we have in each of our collections. And I brought some of my stuff over, and of course Leelahel has an amazing deck collection in here in her home. So we were just wanting to do one of those random collab videos. I asked for questions, and I got two, just two. Let's see. Okay, actually just one. How sad. This is from Holly Owl. And Holly Owl said, how did you two meet and become friends? And how are you similar and how are you different? So, how did we meet? Obviously through Tumblr.
I reached out to you once upon a time. It was around the time of the let's call it the Arcane Wars, back when they happened. And I reached out to you and I was like, your blog is so purple. I love it. And you were just like, this is weird. Okay, that's cool. And later on, I published a video and you commented on it. You were like, yes, I guess you just agreed with the style of reading. And you were like, who is this person? And then we started talking.
I know, and I think when you said my blog was purple, I think that was back when I was as Luna Hour, and my blog was all purple. It was different shades of purple.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I forgot about that.
Well, there was the Tumblr tarot project where everyone was going to make a tarot card, and I was going to be the King of Swords, and you were the Moon, and that's when
right.
I added you.
That's right.
Once upon a time.
Whatever happened to that project?
It's just hanging.
Oh, so if you guys are wondering what that is, on Tumblr, everybody in the tarot community was assigned, like, we all picked a card that we wanted to create, right? We had to create a card. And I chose the Moon, and Leelahel, you were what? The King of Swords?
The King of Swords.
Oh, okay. Did you ever finish your card?
No. I realistically, I tried going for the Devil, because that's what I was in Ruinwind's Grimoire of Geekery. He had the Ritual of Triumph, and then I did that. And I still have my Devil. It's like right on my desk.
Oh my gosh.
So that was like a group thing, and I really connected with that.
Oh.
But I tried for the Moon, and you had taken it.
Oh,
that's always been my signifier. It's all over.
Yeah, I remember I created the Moon card.
Oh, you did?
I made one. I actually made one.
Show me.
I know, I had to show you. I should have brought it. But it was I found the artwork for it was on a book that I found in a donation bin at work, and I just cut it out. I did collage type for it.
Cool.
Yeah. So I still have it somewhere. It's probably in one of my little boxes, but yeah. That's funny.
You're going to have to show the community.
I know. I can take a picture of it and send it out, since nothing ever became of this collab tarot deck project that everyone was doing. But so we met through that, and I remember you purchased a reading from me, and I didn't put two and two together that it was you, and then that you were Leelahel. Yeah,
oh, really?
It was funny that happens to me a lot. I'll get clients who I'll recognize them by their Tumblr name, but then their personal name, it's different.
Yeah.
So I don't put two and two together.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when
it was the Catholic witch. I remember.
Yes, it was the Catholic witch reading.
She totally slayed my reading.
It was a reading that I offered, and when she bought it, I think you were probably the only one that had purchased that one. But I remember putting two and two together after the fact, and I think it was when you had your YouTube channel, and I saw that you went by your name, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I remember, and then the username of yours that I remember from Tumblr was your Halloween costume one. It was the
oh yeah.
What was it? The Jigsaw.
Jigsaw from the Saw saga.
Yeah. It was Jigsaw, so that's what I remember her as.
I feel like that was very off-putting to a few people. Like, imagine getting a private message and it's just this dead-looking thing staring at you. Like, all right, I understand some things better now.
That was so funny.
How was it from your side? You just realized that this random person had bought your reading and they ended up being this person with the channel.
Yeah, like it was because but that happens a lot. Like a lot of, and I always forget. Like a lot of my clients they come from Tumblr, so when I put two and two together, sometimes they don't tell me. It's, oh, I'm so and so from Tumblr, and then sometimes I do put two and two together. But in that case, it was like, oh, that's crazy. So I don't know. If it's not in my face, it's not like I'm oblivious to everything. But yeah, so that was really cool. And then the second half of the question is, how are you similar and how are you different? So similar, obviously.
Love
we
for
read
cards.
tarot. Yeah, we love the cards.
We collect cards.
And
feverishly.
And the moon card.
We share the moon signifier.
Yes.
And I thought that was very interesting. That definitely made me reach out to you because I noticed you were Luna Hour.
Yeah.
She was reblogging a lot of things that had to do with the moon. It's a symbol that I naturally gravitate towards.
Yeah, I made the moon like it was the whole point of Luna Hour at that time. And when I created Luna Hour, I didn't create it with the intention of making it just a tarot blog. I was more into like the moon stuff and like all of the metaphysical part, but the tarot kind of started creeping in also. So yeah, that's kind of funny.
You know,
definitely
what's interesting to me is that a lot of people have a negative association with the moon card, but I feel like you got it. You understood that it was just a sense of intuition. And I remember once upon a time you said in a video, oh, I like the moon card because I read at nighttime. And, it's the time when you're most aware and when you're most connected to your intuition. So it could stand as a signifier for a night person. I personally see the moon as a very, like, your connection to spirit. It is said that the blood drops are actually like menstruation, but
that's
so
interesting.
Because of the cycles of the moon and how we tune into it. But when I see the moon card and it just makes sense to me because of how you could say you have your divided personas and each pillar is like a different color. One's black, one's white. So you do have yourself divided, and you could be that crayfish or lobster emerging from the waters, finding your own path.
That's true.
So that was very illustrative.
I do see that totally like as finding your path, but I also see the moon card as your dominant and your what's the word I'm looking for? Like you have a dominant. We all have not a dominant. We all have a domesticated side to our personality, and then we also have a wild, feral side to our personality. So when the moon card will pop up too, I always see that as like, which side of your personality are you like vibing with at that time? Are you being more domesticated? Are you staying in more? Are you more of an what's the word? Oh my gosh, like I can't think right now. Are you more of a introvert, or are you wild? Are you feral? Like, are you willing to take risks and chances and be out there in the nightlife and going out and going, I also see the moon card as that too, like our personality, two different sides to our personality. That's always how I see it.
Well, one of us is more avant-garde goth, the other one's a more subdued version. Because you do have dark tones in your personality that I've noticed. You do have your little dark side, your little horror.
Yes.
So, you do embrace that darkness too, and
yeah.
I certainly do as well.
No, and that's what I like about you too, because you're like you're into like the creepy stuff and like the dark, the goth fashion and all of that. No, that's totally it too. Not a lot of people knew that. Like a lot of people in my real life, like my friends and stuff, don't recognize me as Rose. So I do feel like that's another reason why the moon card vibes with me, because Rose and then who I am in real life are two different people. Two different personalities. Yeah.
I only know Rose.
Yeah. And that's cool, because when I was coming in here to meet you today, and actually I was nervous about that. Really? Because I'm used to being my other side, my real life. I don't want to say my name, but who I am in real life, quote unquote. And Rose was always just somebody that I portray myself online. So actually meeting Leelahel as Rose, she doesn't even know me as my real name. And doesn't know me as like what I do in my real everyday life. It made me nervous. And then the fact that we are into the moon, and then today is the full moon, I think it was just like perfect how everything kind of fell together. It just worked.
Girl, you just blew my mind.
Right?
This duality going
Whoa.
on. Well, okay. Which Rose is more you? Is it real life Rose, routine, family life, or is it the hidden doppelganger? Is that becoming the new you?
The hidden doppelganger is definitely starting to become the new me, and that's definitely the kind of me that I want to bring out more. But I think that there's times where I can't. So it's nice. So like today when I can be full on Rose and be me, that makes me happy. So how about you? So
Cool.
how does the moon like vibe with you? What type of personalities?
Oh, it's just, I'm totally a night person. I have insomnia, so I don't go to sleep until 4 in the morning.
4 in the
And
morning?
I barely sleep. I sleep like 4 hours to 6 hours.
So what time were you up this morning?
I was up until pretty late last night. I watched Western World or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I told you about it.
Yeah.
And I went to sleep like at 4 in the morning, and I woke up at 10. I woke up ahead of time. I was like, I'll get up at 10:30, but since 10 I was already conscious. Sometimes I just get up at 9, run through with the day. Psychics are very busy people too. We have so many people to tend to that are looking for us, and it's really interesting because in what makes us different, you have your Tumblr channel, and I have my client base, which is it's other tarot community where I move through, and we were talking about how my clients are older. They're typically people in their 50s.
Yeah.
You tend to have younger clients, so that could be a really interesting contrast to our lives and what makes us different.
Yeah, we were talking about that because I was telling Leelahel how I want to kind of zone in on like one type of client, and I've been noticing a lot of my clients are female, and they are either early 20s to mid 20s or mid 30s. That's usually the age range. So like 18 to 35. I've read one woman who was in her 50s, and that was it. But it's mainly like early young adult age. So for Leelahel to be reading for older women, do you find that it's easy for you to read for women even though you haven't yet lived that life yet? I mean, because they're older.
That's a very common misconception whenever you get clients. It's like, you're so young, what could you possibly tell me? And they don't really realize that I'm not going to tell them my personal thoughts. You never get a generic, the moon needs intuition. Yes, it's like spoon feeding it to them. So people oftentimes do tend to gravitate away from psychics because they just kind of spoon feed you the information. And the best way to deal with people that have had certainly like much more life experience than you have is really just to tie it all together and just give them the advice that they need.
Yeah.
You can't sound preachy. You have to sound very detached. You have to be very detached from the situation. And you just tell them exactly how it is. So let's say someone's having an affair and they want to know if they should leave their marriage to stay with the affair. I'll tell them, well, even if you leave your marriage, for example, they're not going to leave their marriage because it's a very common thing for two people that are in marriages to like find themselves in an affair. So you just have to tell them things really straight on, no sugarcoating. And when you see that they're trying to push for what they want, you just kind of have to be like, I just tell you what's in the cards.
Yeah,
so that's
interesting.
They have different age groups have different expectations.
Yeah, they do. No, and that's so true. Now, I guess since we didn't get other questions, I'm going to ask you then. Do you read for men often? And
yes.
Do you find the questions that they ask to be different than the questions women ask?
Very few times will I get males that are hung over other females. And you can hear the real world going on outside. But very few times. Men tend to be... a lot of men do ask me about romantic encounters, but they really don't mind if it's just... Like, some of them really know what they want, but some of them are a mess. Oftentimes, they tend to ask about business. They tend to be concerned with their futures and if their investments are going to pay off, if they're going to invest time in a female, if it's going to be good for them. It's really interesting to see how a guy can be hung over a female that's not paying attention to him at all, because oftentimes we see our side and we tend to see the females being the ones that are more I'm just generalizing because everyone has different needs, right? My male clients, a lot of them tend to be very spiritually oriented. They ask me about their spiritual path.
Oh, that's interesting.
They're really some of the only people that do it. Most females ask me about other people.
That's
other
great.
People that they're interested.
Yeah, because we want to be nosy and like know what's going on in other people's lives.
We want to feel
I
love
did
it.
an in-person reading a couple weeks ago, and I read for my very first. Well, okay, I lied. I read for my husband, and I read for a coworker. But other than those two guys, I've never read for other men. And then I read for my first male, um, and it was a very different vibe. The women that I read for, whether it's online or offline, women tend, the ones that I read for, they tend to be very curious about a lot of different things. But the man was very, his vibe was very calming. It was very soft, and it was like a relax, because, and I even told him I had read for the two other clients before him, and I was starting to feel like the headache coming on, and just the emotions, like with women we get real emotional and stuff. So I was really tapping into all that, but I had a headache coming on. And instantly when I was reading for him, they left the room. They let him have his privacy. And it just, you could feel like the mood like kind of set. And it was like the headache went away, and it was kind of like I was relaxed, and I was able to kind of revive again and do the reading. But it was a very different feel. It was like, wow, it's a much more gentle energy, reading for a man than it is for a female. And so I would love to experience that more. Like, it's not every day, I get a client, a male client. So
Why do you think that is? Why do you think that males are so averse to tapping into the spiritual world? Because there are very few male readers.
Yeah.
Even in our community, there's very few male readers.
I think it's fear of, well, maybe not fear, but I think a lot of men want to solve their own problems, and they don't really want to open up and go to someone else for advice to solve their problems. So I think that I see it that way.
Independence.
Yeah. And then I think spirituality it's largely based around women. I feel like a lot of women are soul searching more than men, and when men do it, I think they do it in more privacy. Like I don't know.
It could be.
Why do
It
you
could very
think?
well be. Why they're averse to get reading? Well, it reminds me of this one time I went to a party and I ended up reading for somebody's husband. And he was all just like, don't look at me. I've also had clients in malls where they're like looking around and wondering if people are looking at them. Or I'm just like, have your experience, Listen to what I'm trying to tell you. Don't worry about everyone else being concerned with what you're doing. It could be self-awareness.
Yeah.
It could be superstition. Like, they tend to be like more head-on and more action-oriented. So the whimsical angels and energies might be off-putting.
Yeah. And then that brings me to the next question. If you're reading for a man, do you pull different decks for them than you do with women? Or does it matter to you?
Well, I wouldn't use the Hello Kitty tarot for a male, because sometimes I've been about to, and they feel like, you're going to read with that deck? And I'm like, what's wrong with it? So I'll take out something else. And usually it's just really the preference of the client.
Yeah.
Most times they reach out for Ciro Marchetti decks, which are really, they have jewel colors and they're really bright. But the style of the illustration, I see that it really influences who will reach out for it.
Nice.
Sometimes you get surprises, though.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm like trying to think, because when I read for the guy and it was an in-person reading, I always just do Rider Waite, because that's just basic. But if I were to pull like one of my decks, I would probably go for the Gilded Tarot. And then if I did an Oracle, oh my gosh, the Psychic Tarot.
Mm-hmm. I was going to recommend John Holland's
Yeah.
tarot deck.
Mm-hmm.
That has the right feel to
Yeah.
it. And it's evocative of the Gilded Tarot
Yeah.
in a sense with the style.
Yeah. So I probably would do something like that.
Well, wouldn't you say they would reach out to what is more familiar to them, because it makes the new experience more comfortable?
Yeah, I agree.
Right.
And then also, I think it was created by a man. So, because I think that there's also like some decks have male energy to them, and then there's feminine decks.
Absolutely.
Like, how would you play? What
Carol Hertzer?
Yeah.
It's all full of feeling, so I would say it's a more feminine type of deck. And it's very unafraid of the use of pink, which is a big one for me. If it has deep pinks and magentas, I feel like it tends to be more
feminine.
feminine.
And then the darker theme decks, what do you think about those? I think a lot of my darker, like my Gothic tarot,
Mm.
is definitely a male,
Yeah.
masculine energy.
So with the Bohemian Gothic.
Yeah.
Papa Studio.
And then
Vertigo. What would you say?
You know, honestly, I feel like that one can go both ways. But I think more masculine.
Mm.
Do you think? Or you think feminine?
I would say it's more masculine.
Yeah.
To be truthful. I mean, it's a very dark deck and it feels like a nightmare sometimes.
Yeah.
Not always. I feel like the figures, they're not beautiful just to be beautiful. And that's something that females do in their decks. They want to make everything pretty.
Yeah.
But some decks that will show reality and will show the not so pretty side tend to be like more real and more. They have that balance in them that makes them more masculine.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because when you think about it, men are so naturally beautiful. They don't need a lot of ornamentation.
That's true. Like all the frou-frou stuff. Gilded edges.
Yeah.
And
so a question for you is, what's your favorite way of connecting with your clients? Because you're very vocal on the internet. You have Instagram, you have Tumblr, and you're always taking questions.
Oh my gosh. I guess like on Tumblr, when I connect with people, I like to ask a question that can be answered by anybody. Sometimes I'll throw out the random question, what's in your tarot bag? Or what's in your, what deck are you working with today? Or, what crystals are in your bra? Like that, those are questions I was asking. Mm-hmm. To me, that I think that kind of gets people to start communicating and get to know me. I also like to put the thing out there of saying, talk tarot to me. So talk to me, ask me questions and let's have a dialogue. When it comes down to my clients, when I connect with them, when they send me emails, sometimes they send me emails with their question. And so I'll sit with the question, I'll read it, and then that's how I try to figure out which deck I'm going to work with for them. Based on the feeling that I get, the type of question. I have specific decks that I use for love readings, and then I have specific decks that I use for like the past life readings. So I like to do that. But I think it's just flat out communicating. I want to portray myself as being open, and just your friend. Like you can come talk to me, and I'm normal, and I'm not intimidating, and that kind of thing.
Have you ever been intimidated by any bloggers that you've approached?
There have been, like, especially if they're either like that's the thing that's going around on the Tumblr community before was bigger name diviners, and I always wondered like what made someone a big name diviner. Was it because they had a large follower base? Was it because they had a lot of notes every post they put? Well, what made them a big diviner? And I've been told that I've been one of those that people felt I was intimidating. And I was like, really? I don't think so. Like, I don't think I'd come off that way. So I don't know. Like, I don't know what it is. I think personally, and I'm trying to fix that with myself because I was always secretive. And I would always, like, my image on Tumblr is, like, nose down. I don't show my face. I think if you're completely secretive and there's absolutely no face to what you do behind the cards, I think that can be intimidating because you can't relate.
Yeah, that's true.
So when I created my YouTube, I think I was able to open up and share who I was with a lot of people because before I wasn't like that. So maybe that's why I was intimidating.
They put a name to the face.
Yeah.
Or the face.
Yeah.
Interesting.
How about you? How do you connect with your clients?
Soul tar machine. Tell me how my day is gonna go. I'm the soul tar machine. How do I connect with my clients? Well, I feel like because it's a community, it's an open chat room. After the reading, sometimes they'll come in and they'll just talk about what I did in the reading that resonated with them because their partner has said or they had thought to themselves. So they'll just chat with me. And I tend to dress very normal when I'm working. I don't have all the ornamentation that could be aggressive and intimidating.
Yeah.
Once I wore black lipstick to work and everyone left, they were like, no. They came in, they would say no, and they would leave. So I realized that it's just part of how you present yourself. You have to be someone that they can connect to or relate with, like, oh, this is just a normal person, just like me. You can't really make what you do to business, because then you lose that empathy with
Exactly.
people. That is what establishes
Yeah.
a connection.
And so there has to be like a fine medium between that, I think, and that comes with being personal, like going out there and actually talking to the people who are following you, and on Instagram, posting pictures or whatever, or having a Snapchat and inviting people to follow you. Like I have a Snapchat, but it's not that big. My YouTube channel is probably the main way I like to reach out, but Tumblr more so. Tumblr for me is a personal outlet, like it's a blog, like another form of a blog.
Yeah, because you have a blog too.
Yeah.
I have a blog too.
But
But
my
Tumblr
blog-
is like more personal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Tumblr is the way I like to release. If I'm having a bad day, you'll hear about it on Tumblr. But then I try to stay somewhat professional because that's also my way of advertising my services.
You could say it's also a mood board because you
That's
have all
true.
your adverts, you have other people's content, and
That's
it
true.
just generates a conversation, a dialogue. in a
Yeah.
sense. And your blog is very much like a conversation. You have related posts, and then you have the questions that people send you. It does end up being
Yeah.
like in a sense, getting to know you.
Yeah.
It's a very easy way to connect with you as a person. But it's a content that you allow people to see. It's a content that you put out. It's not.
I just
really...
got an idea.
Oh, really?
I just got an idea for another video.
Oh,
Okay,
hi.
you guys. So we're gonna end this one, and then we'll be right back.